Absolutely, we could use some good news. Actually, that's perfect timing. What a great segue into what we're going to be talking about now and who we're going to be talking about it with. She's done everything, actually. I think I want to be respectful with this number, but I also want to show how much she knows the game. I'm going to say 30 years in the game as a broadcaster, as a presenter, probably newer as a podcaster, host. She's done it all. She's taken time out of her morning to join us this morning, and she launches this podcast this morning, actually. So it's great timing with grey areas. None other than Petra Bagust. Good morning, Petra.
Sala Bjorn, thank you for having me in your whare, in your place today. So good. Season 5 of Grey Areas.
Yeah, I know.
It's like going to school.
Season
My podcast's
5.
off to primary school.
How do you feel now, season 5 of something? That's pretty, that speaks to longevity, doesn't it?
I know. It actually, because you hear that most podcasts don't last beyond season 1. And so that's like a target. But getting to season 5, you're like digging in, you're getting to know, well, what's this all about? Like, what is our kaupapa? What are we doing? And then how do you grow and change? Like, nothing stays the same, does it? Apart from, you know who.
Well, we're going to get to grey areas because it's a special day today too. Yeah. Congratulations, and I'll congratulate you again when we get to grey areas. But we got you here for a couple of reasons. One, to talk about that and congratulate you. But also, for people who don't know, you've got a role to play at the Christian Broadcasting Association. You're actually a chaplain there. Right?
Yeah, that's true. And I guess that speaks to your 30 years in the industry.
Yeah, look at you.
So
all of that at only 35 years old too. I mean, that's amazing.
Bjorn, thank you.
You got married when you were 7.
I turned 52 on Sunday.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and somebody said, oh, we swap the numbers around. You know, you can be 25. And I'm like, I'm good, thanks. 52 is fine by me. And because I appreciate what this season offers, and it's not smoother, tauter, more elastic skin, but it is a deeper, a wiser, I guess a broader appreciation for life. And so 30 years in the industry means that as far as media chaplaincy goes, which I'm involved in, I have been around the sun a couple of times, and you can see some of the changes in the industry. And essentially, chaplaincy is like holding space, or it's a ministry of presence. So it means that as a person of faith, I can go and hang out with anyone. I mean, remember Ryan Bridge, when the day they announced the news hub closures, Ryan Bridge said, oh, maybe one day we'll come and have a coffee. You know, one day when I've seen the light. And I'm like, brother, you never have to see the light to have a coffee with me. You can just be and talk and be. I guess I would almost say it's like, yeah, being held. Like holding that tension of what the media in New Zealand is going through right now is pretty tough. It's a major shake-up, and that's happened to human beings who have bills, who have families, who have dreams and hopes. So it's hard.
It's a cool space that you guys are in, being, chaplains to people in media, and especially like you're saying, of having so much experience in the industry. Like when people talk to you about the cutthroat nature, I mean, recently redundancies, job losses, shows just being cancelled that you thought were your future. Yeah. I mean, you would have walked in those shoes, you know, having times where...
Yeah, your shows get cancelled.
Yeah, just you get the email
you lose the job.
We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, that's it. That's over. You win an award and the next year it's gone and you're like, oh, okay. And not knowing, like not necessarily having job security, but news has had traditionally much more job security because it's not a seasonal show. It doesn't like come and go. And so the idea of it going, aka News Hub, is pretty profound.
Can I ask you, and this is, I guess, somewhat of a recent one, because another podcast you're involved with, Sunday Sanctuary, right after you launched it, it was initially going to be on Today FM,
no,
right?
It was. We did 5 episodes live on Today FM. It was a 2-hour radio show on a Sunday morning with talkback, and then the station got cut. Like, that's it. It was one morning. It
that was a swing of the axe too, yeah.
And that was gone immediately. This is a slow bleed with the job redundancies at TVNZ and News Hub and staff, and I mean, you can see things being, people trying to put things together, weave things together, so that the New Zealand public has access to good quality journalism.
So for you though, when that kind of happened, how do you go with sort of processing that for yourself in terms of like something that you're working really hard on and you believe in and you're invested in, and then suddenly just the rug gets pulled out and you're like, oh, well, and I know it's still going and, you've pivoted and it's really cool. But in that moment, how do you deal with that kind of shock of what now?
I understand your question. And I don't want to be cliche about it. But the more I'm in this world and the media and the say, career that I'm in, the less I put my identity into it. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I hold it lightly. And it's been a practice of my life to each year, like you can see me, I'm holding my hand out with my palm up. I try and hold it lightly. And that means that things will come and things will go. And I'm passionate and invested in what I'm doing. But I understand one day grey areas, which I adore making, will go. One day Sunday Sanctuary, somebody else might get to host it. I understand that these things are temporal. And so as much as it's within my capability, I really, really try to anchor my identity and sense of self in my creator. And then obviously there are lots of layers and layers to that.
You're the perfect person to be able to hold a job as a chaplain in the media space. And when we hear you talk, you're in a very unique position, Petra, because you're seeing it from both sides, right? You've been through there.
I've been kicked out of the industry,
right?
you know, like,
right?
I left. Yeah.
And now,
Blacklisted. No.
but you're on the other side now, trying to coach or be with people, as you put it. So how does that feel when you're sort of being with people and navigating them through the disappointment of what people have gone through?
Seriously, it's such a privilege. And I think that also in the point of crisis is not when people are processing. So this has a long tail. Like people are going to lose their livelihoods. They're going to have to really significantly pivot. And I had a period of 10 years doing something different. So I guess you have walked the walk. But I think it is so much about holding hope and also being allowed to lament and be in the mess of it all. So yeah, it is literally a ministry of presence.
Well, you are a great person for it because you're very empathetic.
Cheers.
And you get a very good read on people is what I've noticed. You're kind of like Salah where you can sense when the room has got something going on, whereas I'm very oblivious to most of those signals. But you two both very good at it. So right place to be.
Know thyself, Bjorn. That's so good.
This has been a really, really nice chat, but we've got another thing to pivot around with Petra because she's on her 5th season, as you would have heard in that interview, in our little chat there, of grey areas. We want to talk about that in another podcast just around the corner. In the meantime, though, here's Evan Craft and Good Neighbour. This is Life. Having an insightful and really warm chat with our guest this morning, Petra Bagust, she's busy. She's a busy lady and she's taking time out of a busy morning to join us as she launches Grey Areas, the podcast. This is season 5 this morning. Can I say this morning?
Yeah, you can.
All
it
right.
is this morning.
Well, congratulations, man.
Yeah. Very cool. Who's Grey Areas for?
Grey Areas is for anybody who's curious. More specifically, though, it's for women who live in New Zealand who are around the age 40 to 60, but we have a broader listenership than that.
Yeah.
I hear people who say...
I've listened, so yeah.
Yeah, and like quite a few men and younger women listen and they say, it just feels good. It just feels good to listen to somebody who's further down the road. Or I feel a bit more prepared for that phase. And just like one of our guests this season, Judy Bailey, she has written a book for people who are retired, or we could rebrand that to the 20-year adventure. But it is... She says everything we do now, it's like don't just put money in the bank for the savings. Like put other stuff in your human bank, in your body bank, your brain bank, your heart bank, because what you do now will impact the quality of your life then.
When you started Grey Areas, what was it, 5 years?
Not quite, no, it's like 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yeah. Right, season 5. What did you have in mind for 3 years down the track?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay.
I was just I had a conversation and they're like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do a podcast? I'm like, yeah. What do you want to do it about? Everything I'm curious about. And I'm so curious about things. But I really did want to speak to the season I was in. And I was in perimenopause. And so there wasn't a lot of chat. Like there was still a whole lot of shame around that. And we don't talk about it. And we were alone and isolated as women. And look, half the population goes through this, right? And it's your hormones doing acrobatics. They are up and down and all over the show. You feel like you're going crazy and the people you live with think you're going crazy. So I think that the more we can bring healthy knowledge and also compassion into that space, then the better it is for everybody.
Nice.
I mean, the dog never gets over you, but you know.
Do you think we handle aging well as a society?
No, we don't. Bjorn, we don't handle it well. What we do is we ostrich it, so we put our head in the sand and we just pretend it's not happening. But the thing that blows my mind is that we treat our future selves so badly now. Like, just think about that for a second. Let's reframe elderly to elders. Let's borrow from the wisdom of Pasifika and Tangata Whenua and be respectful and look and reorientate our attitude towards our elders and not have all of our value in our economic contribution, but have all these other modes of contributing. I think that we have a fine future together because we're not raising children anymore. We're not trying to build our mortgage, We're not trying to keep up with the Joneses. Actually, the energy and attention of maturing elderly people, elders, is different, and it can be reinvested in young people. Man, it's a phenomenal time of life, but we're just like, I don't look so good. I've put on some weight. I'm wrinkly now. And I mean, I get it. I'm like, oh my goodness, look at that spider vein on my leg, or So there's a visual confronting nature. If we expect to go as hard and fast as we always did, we will miss the magnificent opportunity to slow down and appreciate and invest and be intentional, and it's a beautiful season.
Amen.
Yeah, we do have a lot of negativity around it, eh? Like even, there's the phrase of like never ask a woman her age, because it suggests that aging's a terrible thing.
Yeah, and people say, oh, you don't look your age.
Yeah, and I mean even me, like just in the last chat we were having, I made the joke about you being 35.
Oh,
but
yeah,
even though that's just a joke, but it's like it kind of points towards that thing of like no one wants to age. No one wants to be older.
And look, honestly, we have idolised youth and beauty, and I understand it. Have you stood next to a really young person recently? They are so beautiful. I had a woman do my makeup. She was right there doing my makeup, and I'm like, look at your skin, your eyes, the beauty. And then she held the mirror up. Does this look good? And I was like, oh, I'm like, I am beautiful too, in a different way.
Amen. Yes, you are. Whenever we have people in the creative space, in any space, music space, I love to know what the impact of their creativity has on other people. Can you share maybe even some personal testimonies or chats that you've had with anyone in particular through the podcast, or somebody approached you and said, I needed that. Thank you.
Oh, honestly, the feedback from the podcast is like my favourite. It's like the actual payment for making it. And people, like this morning I was talking to Mike Peru, and he said, I don't know how to describe it. But I just feel comforted when I listen to it. I just feel not judged. And I was like, wow, that's so good. Or people will say, I lost my mum and we never had this conversation about perimenopause. Or they'll say, I thought I was the only one. I thought I had this terrible thing and I was broken and I needed to be fixed, like I was wrong. And I think there's this coming home to we're not broken and we don't need to be fixed, but we do need to tap into love and truth and beauty and goodness. Like we need each other, we need to live in community, and we need to support and care for one another.
Grey Areas, Season 5. It's out today if you want to go and download. Are you doing it weekly release?
Yeah, weekly release on Thursdays. Today, can I just say, it's quite a fun episode. It's a live event, so we recorded it in a theatre with a live audience and a panel, and it's about love in midlife. So intimacy, pleasure, desire inside of our relationships in midlife. Hello. Can you give us
some hints on, you've mentioned Judy Bailey already, so she's on one of the episodes, but any other guests you've got coming on? Or
probably people like Dr. Jen Russell, a paediatrician. She's talking about perfectionism. And then New Zealand's poet laureate, Selena Tusitali-Marsh, she talks about creativity. And look, there's healing in creativity, and it's mostly free. So, get on board.
You've dropped some really awesome gold nuggets for people to grab onto, Petra. I'm so... honestly, I think anyone who's listening would have grabbed onto different pieces. But before we cut you loose, for somebody tuning in right now, guy or girl, what would you say to that person listening into you right now?
Imagine being loved. Imagine being 100% A-OK. That who you are, where you are, right now, right here, is perfect. And move out of that space into the rest of your life. It's like if we can take a moment or a minute or 5 minutes and feel the love and acceptance that is available to us, that is present to us always. But I think we have to sometimes just turn with kindness towards that and towards ourselves. And actually that is a much more healing and beautiful energy to move out of. Don't berate yourself when you fall out of it, but just return to it.
You got a special gift that I'm glad you're using for the glory of God.
Yeah.
I think so.
love
Thanks for jumping in and joining us this morning. You're special, Petra.
Oh, cheers.
You can
Ella.
catch her on Grey Areas, which is out today.